Okay, and welcome to the next in our series of E3 conference post-mortems. This time we are looking at Sony and their what spectacular show. I thought it was a very, very good show. Joining me for this one we have again Pedz.
Hello.
Herbie is with us again.
All killer, no filler.
Indeed. And back again for this one we have Venom.
Hi, nice to be here, thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you all. Okay, so quite a bit to get through, so let's just dive right into this. Started off with what I noted as a very nice orchestra. Very nice. I always like a bit of orchestral game music, so when they kind of kicked off with that and this big epic music, I think it was very clear what the first game was going to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, God of War 4, wow, I thought it looked really, really good. Venom, what did you think?
Well, I'm actually a big fan of the original two God of War games. And so when I learnt about the Norse setting, I was wondering if it was going to be just a reskin version. And so when it started, then we saw that fantastic trailer, really. I was really, really happy because it seems they've gone completely back to the drawing board, and it's not just a new setting. It's a new game reinvented with the essence of God of War. So you have a new Kratos, you have him there with his son, and it's a new type of way to play as well. It seems I don't know if it's fully open world, but it seems to be open world-ish.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seemed to be kind of, you know, far more open in where you go. It wasn't as kind of, right, you've cleared this area, now you need to go here and do this. It definitely seemed a bit more go this way, and there's stuff to do, but it looks like you could potentially have gone off and explored and found other things, which I loved. I loved Kratos' beard. I wrote down nice beard. I was like, yes, I appreciate that, and I loved the Norse setting. I think it's a nice change. One thing I kind of thought of as well, will we see Kratos versus Thor at some point? You know, obviously not going to be movie Thor, but it's still kind of cool to see him take on the God of Thunder, I would think. Pedz, what were your thoughts on God of War?
My thoughts were, I thought it was very nice looking for a start.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this is visually pretty damn good. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just snow stuff. Like I was saying in the Ubisoft one, it looked really good. Maybe I just like snow. But yeah, I like the look of it, and I'm not a massive fan of God of War. I've only played the first one, a fair whack. But I like the slower pace of the fighting and stuff. So hopefully, it'd be a game I'm more into than the previous ones. So I'm going to definitely keep my eye on this because I'm very intrigued. And yeah, it was pretty cool. And again, I also like the beard.
It was an epic beard. And Herbie, thoughts on God of War?
Never played a God of War game before.
Really?
Yeah, unfortunately. I don't know. It's those kind of straight action games like God of War, GRcade, and Bayonetta, that Heaven's Sword game that came out on the PS3. I don't know. They always. Although I played both Bayonettas and like them, they never really appealed to me that much. But watching the gameplay demo that opened this conference, I thought it looked absolutely incredible. Graphically, it was stunning. I mean, maybe I was slightly delirious having just woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning, but I was just looking at it like, even Uncharted 4, I don't think nothing looks like that. I was sure they were going to say something about the Neo. I'm sure we'll come on to whether that's a good idea or not, but it looked absolutely amazing. I like, I think it's Pedz said, I like the slower tone it had. It wasn't just enemy to enemy to enemy. The relationship with the kid seemed interesting. It didn't seem as though it was his son, the way he talked about his mother, but that was really intriguing. And then at the end, where they were sat on that cliff and that dragon came over the horizon and flew into, I was like, oh! It looked incredible.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks stunning. I mean, and I think this is a question that we're going to have with a couple of the games tonight. Was this running on PS4 Neo, or was this running on just a standard PS4? I think that's definitely something that we need to find out going forward. If this was running on Neo, then wow, Neo looks good. But then you have to ask, how's it going to look on a base PS4? So that's something I think we need to take into account. The only other thing that I kind of wondered, and it's definitely, I don't know if you guys got this vibe from it. It looks to me as if they're set up to kill Kratos and you play his son.
I get the feeling it's more to do with the relationship because I think that's going to be a big part of it. I mean, with the original games, one of the criticisms some people have it's just Kratos and he's full of hate and he's anger and he's just one-dimensional.
Angry man.
Yes, angry man. So here you saw him, and I got the impression that the child was his mother had recently died, and Kratos had taken care of him. I mean, I don't know, but that's the impression I got, and it's about the story of their relationship together. So that looked very interesting. But
Can I just interject? Like, is this is Kratos, right? I mean, he's a god, so he like the fact that the whole ancient Greece thing would have been 400 or 500 years before this. That's not an issue. Like, this is the same character throughout all the games, right? No.
It's I mean, the essence of it's the same, but I guess it's a completely different story unless you link it up afterwards. In the original games, Kratos starts off as a mortal, and then he becomes a god of war. And so the impression I get from this is that it is a separate pantheon of gods or whatever's going to happen in it. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously too early to kind of say too much about what we think the story is going to be. But certainly, yes, I'm really looking forward to this.
The story's going to be angry man cracking skulls.
Yeah.
At its base essence, probably, yes. But yeah, I mean, I think it looked really, really good. And I do like the changes they've made to the gameplay. As much as I love the older ones, it's good to see them not just rehashing it again, and going somewhere slightly different. So definitely looking forward to that. Which moved us on to a very brief snippet of a game that we'll talk more about later because they showed it again at the end. Days Gone. To which I'm just like, zombies, post-apocalypse. Okay. Yeah, so I think we'll come back to that later on because obviously they show that in far more detail towards it. So we'll come back to that and talk about that at the time. Which obviously moves us on to the trailer that we got for Last Guardian, which, no gameplay this time round that I could see, but, we've got a date. We finally have a date for Last Guardian on October 25th this year. It's about fucking time.
It's been a bit of a wait, yes, that's right. I mean, it's a game that's been promised for a long time. That was supposedly coming on the PS3. We had that reveal last year. So it's good to see that there's this big exclusive coming out for PS4. And provided there aren't any problems, it should be out in October. So that's something to look forward to. And yes, it was another trailer, but I think we've all got a sense of what the game is.
Yeah.
Especially if you've played Ico or Shadow of the Colossus. So it's that sort of game, but it looks quite beautiful. So we'll just have to wait and see with this one.
Yeah, it basically looks like it looks stunning, of course, and then just from what they showed in the trailer, it looks it's going to be a typical Team Ico game, and that you're going to have there's going to be feels, there's going to be sad parts. Yeah. Something horrible is going to happen at some point, and everybody's going to be sad about it. But yeah, the game looks excellent, and I'm really looking forward to that. Herbie, what about you? Are you psyched for The Last Guardian?
Yes and no. I played both Ico and Shadow of the Colossus a long time after they came out, actually.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish either, actually. Although I appreciated what they were trying to do, particularly Shadow of the Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
This, to me, like, this was the one game that stood out to me from the conference because it didn't look like graphically it doesn't look that great. I mean, sorry, I still think it looks like a PS3 game. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm sure the whole relationship between the kid and the Guardian will be interesting. I can envisage quite a lot of unique gameplay mechanics you can come up in that kind of relationship. I like that they kind of introduced these other creatures that maybe seem to be hostile towards the child, and maybe this is a world in which there are lots of these kind of huge beasts, but only certain of them are guardians, and this is what the kid's kind of got to look after this guardian from the humans, while the guardian is trying to look after him from the other beasts. So yeah, I'm interested in it. Glad it's got a release date finally, and yeah, I fully expect I'll pick it up, and yeah, it should be a good one.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the reaction to it is when it finally comes out. Pedz.
Well, I'm going to be the opposite now, and I didn't like Eco. I thought it was rubbish.
Controversy.
Shadow of the Colossus, it was alright till I got to the 5th Colossi, and then I was like, this is just boring. So I have literally no interest in The Last Guardian.
It's a very similar thing to what I did. Yeah, I got about halfway through Eco and stopped, and got up to about the 5th Colossus.
Yeah, it's just meh. They're just not fun to play. Well, I suppose Shadow of the Colossus was fun for a bit, but no, they're not for me. Like, it's great the PlayStation 4 is going to have another exclusive to add to his belt, but it's definitely something that I won't be picking up. I'll play it if it's on PlayStation Plus. Otherwise, I'll never see it ever.
That's fair enough. I mean, it isn't really one of those games that has that broad mass public appeal.
Yeah.
So, it's perfectly fine not to have it at the top of your list. But I think it is good that Sony, they continue to invest in a game which is perhaps going to be appreciated more on an artistic level, but not necessarily on a financial level. I mean, as a business, I don't know how good that is for them, but it's good to have something a little bit counter to the standard.
Well,
how much have they supported this, though?
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's existed for like 8 years or something, and there were all those reports that it had been canned. I mean, cynically, I think, looking at it from last year, they were maybe concerned about how many games. I mean, yeah, last year's E3 conference was amazing for the announcements, but maybe they were looking at like what their catalogue was coming, what the PS4 library was going to look like through 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
And they had this kind of 2/3 finished game and thought, yeah, fuck it, let's just finish it off. And that's the way it looks like it does. Like, that's why I'm kind of unsure about it. I don't think it is the kind of, Sony support these indie or this kind of small studio, let them do what they want, because I don't think that's what they've done with this game.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose to an extent it could be they've been pouring money into it for so long. I can't see how they can possibly make a profit on it at this point. If they've been developing it for so long, how much money have they poured into it? How much would it sell to make a profit? So I think there's a bit of both. I think there's, it's one of their prestige titles, and that it is, kind of arty, and it is, this team who've made these 2 legendary games.
Yeah, definitely.
Not legendary at all.
They are pets, whether you like them or not. They are, they're extremely well regarded. They've got this game where people have been asking it for years. So they want to get it out, both so they can have the title, and B, I think just because it's, they can finally stop pouring money into it, and then they can move on to something else to an extent. I think, I don't know. But yeah, so Last Guardian, October 25th. Some of us are excited, some of us not so excited. But we'll certainly see what the reception gets. I'm sure it's going to be a good one. Which took us on to Horizon Zero Dawn, which I think still looks really good. It's the big kind of open world, robot animals. I'm definitely interested in seeing more of that. Pedz, what about you? How's that looking to you?
Well, when they started, I thought, it's a lot prettier than I remember seeing it last year. I thought it was a very visually nice game.
Yeah.
For starters, but I was thinking the gameplay in itself isn't too bad. I don't know what it was last year. I think I was like, no, I just thought I don't really care for it. But this year I was like, yeah, this is looking good. And they didn't exactly show much more. They showed a bit more combat and changing between all the different types of arrows and all that to take down things and finding their weak spots and all that. That was pretty cool. And it looks like it's going to be a big open world adventure. So, it's definitely one I'm keeping my eye on. I'm actually rather intrigued by it now. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. It looks good, I think. Herbie?
I'm all over this game. It was one of those ones coming out of last year as well that the people who didn't get on board the ludicrous hype train that was Final Fantasy VII, Shenmue, and The Last Guardian.
Yeah.
This game for me was the one great showing of that conference last year. It looked great. It was an original IP in a unique setting with these fucking crazy dinosaur robot things. Guerrilla, I think they're a much maligned studio. Quite unfairly, I think. They kind of got stuck with this Killzone industry turd. is how it was treated for years and years. But those games, they did always have something to them. Killzone 2 was, I think, very underrated. Had a fantastic multiplayer and not a bad single player. Again, Killzone 3 had some unique aspects to it. All right, the one on the PS4, I can't get what it's called.
Shadowfall. Yeah,
Shadowfall. It did kind of seem like they'd checked out by that point. I guess because they were working on this, and it shows. Like, it really looks like something they've poured a lot of effort into. And again, it looked incredible. Like, even more so than God of War, I'd say this. Like, that open area, like all that grass and the effects of the dinosaurs walking through the water, the horizon going back and the mountains, it just looked fantastic. Like being able to take out those beasts, jump on them, ride them about, all the different ways you can imagine taking them down. I mean, wow, that's amazing showing. I thought absolutely fantastic.
So you're looking forward to it then, yeah?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, no, I thought it looked fantastic as well. I liked that it's bright and colourful. I liked the whole creature wrangling, hacking kind of thing that they could do. So you would tie them down and then you could get up and hack them so that they were on your side and you could ride them. I liked that. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be a big, fairly open world as well. And you've got the almost prerequisite kind of crafting mechanics and stuff as well, which look interesting. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see again what they kind of do with it, and hopefully it'll kind of live up to the kind of promise that it shows. Certainly, it is good to see Guerrilla getting to do something that isn't Killzone. Like I said, Killzone 2 and 3 on PS3 were great games with, like you said, fantastic multiplayer modes. And they had bots as well. Actually, I think I remember because I remember playing against them. But they were decent games. I quite liked Shadowfall, what I played of it. In terms of a launch title, I think it did what it needed to do, and that it showed. It was a great looking game, and the gameplay was okay. But
you compare Shadowfall to the games they showed here, though.
Yeah, it's night and day.
That's why I'm just thinking, like, it's got to be running on something other than just the base PS4, because.
Well, again, yeah, that brings up the question: is this just Neo that we're looking at, or is this PS4? But yeah, Venom, man, what did you think?
Yeah, it was revealed last year, like Herbie said, and I was impressed as well because it was this brand new IP, and
Mhm.
we've seen since then there was the other trailer or interaction at the Paris Games Week, which was quite nice as well. So
Yeah.
what we saw here in this conference was a little bit more of actually how the game functions. So as you described, the way to hack the animals or the way to take their components or whatever. We saw the
Yeah.
game map, and I believe we saw a crafting display or something
Yep.
as
Yep.
well. And so that was nice. And the other aspect is it's described as a action role-playing game. So I did wonder, how much of this is actually going to be a role-playing game because, they brought in the guy, I believe his name is John Gonzalez. He's the guy who wrote the script for Fallout New Vegas, which was very well regarded.
Okay.
And in this trailer that we saw, we could see some conversation options, kind of similar to Dragon Age. So I'm interested to see how in depth that goes because I quite like the role playing aspect, and if it's got this action element and the role playing, it's like a dream game. The only other thing I'd say is the environment we saw was that outdoor environment from the first trailer,
Yeah.
the first reveal. So I'm hoping that there will be some more environment, and I'm sure there will. But so far, that's all we've seen. But it's looking good. It's looking very good.
I
Yeah.
think they've leaked, or not leaked. They've shown some of the. I think this
Concept
is.
art, was there? Was it concept art or
Yeah,
like
it was a few weeks
minute.
ago. They showed. I can't remember where it was set. Was it Boston? It was some
Right.
American city where they compared like actual photos from the city and what was in the game.
Yeah, there
So-
was like a football stadium.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
does
a
look
picture
like.
of a football stadium and like the artwork of it crumbled and stuff.
Hmm.
So maybe you can go to those places. But I'm sure it's Detroit, not Boston.
It doesn't. They haven't. Yeah, you're right. They haven't shown like that aspect of it yet. How you're going to interact with this. I mean, they've got these robot dinosaurs, and they've kind of hinted at the old world, like millennia have passed or so.
Yeah.
But they haven't explained. Okay, are you going to go into a city? I think the trailer they released just before E3 showed Aloy walking through some door or something, like she was meeting some AI,
Caves?
yeah, kind of thing. So I do expect you to go into cities and wander around and maybe go through some like totally destroyed buildings and
I wonder if
reclaimed
you'll
nature.
be discovering like what happened in the past to create
I think
everything the way it is
that's
now.
yeah. I think that's going to be a big part of it. Whether presumably this will be the start of a new franchise, so whether they'll reveal everything in this first game, I doubt. But yeah, I would imagine that's kind of where they'll go with it.
Zero Dawn suggests that, I think.
Yeah. But certainly, I think it looks excellent. I think it was definitely one of the highlights for me. Not that we were short of highlights. There was so much good stuff shown. Which so moving on. Yeah.
One sec. I
Pedz.
was also going to say it seemed pretty cool with the you had your typical robot enemies.
Mhm.
I say typical, they're not exactly typical, but then you have it seems like there's something corrupting them as well. So that was strange because it was like angrier, meaner, redder
That's right.
robots, and I was like, oh, what's going on with there then? Because it's like that one's corrupting the other one. What's it doing? Why is it making this one go all weird now? That was cool.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
it's also the first time we've seen other humans, like from tribes, like interacting with the main character on screen. So, maybe, and I think again in the story trailer they released before E3, that kind of suggests there is some human conflict in the game.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what's triggering the corruption.
Yes, I think we'll have to wait for the full game to find out more of that, but definitely one that I think we're all going to be kind of interested to see what they do with it. So yeah, moving on. We had the new Quantic Dream game, Detroit. Now, I usually quite like Quantic Dream games. I liked Heavy Rain, I liked Fahrenheit. didn't get on with Beyond Two Souls, but for this, I mean, so the kind of notes I've got for this is that it looks amazing, but it's probably shit. What about you guys? Venom, what did you think of Detroit?
Yeah, it looked really good in terms of the setting, and the graphics looked good enough. You know, it's that sort of near future setting with that story of androids and their sort of consciousness about wanting freedom. The sort of story that you see in Blade Runner and Spielberg's artificial intelligence. So the whole setup was good, and I like what I've seen of the world. And I think in terms of gameplay, it is essentially going to be the same sort of game we had before, as you would expect, with Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. I haven't played Beyond Two Souls yet, but I actually was a fan of Heavy Rain. So the real question is, as long as it's interactive enough, and it's not just a button, you know, a QTE type of game, and it gives you the sense that you really do have a control over your game, then I'm cautiously optimistic. As long as it gives you that you know, ability to properly influence the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was the same. Heavy Rain, I absolutely loved. I thought Heavy Rain was so well done, and then Beyond was a bit disappointing. So I really do hope that it looks closer to Heavy Rain than it does to Beyond, and certainly in the video that they showed, like the kind of montage bit towards the end, it did look like you had so many choices, many possible outcomes for this one scenario. Now, presumably there are more scenarios. It's not just this one thing. But yeah, I like the idea. I like the kind of world building that they did. I liked the main character. I thought that was you know, I quite liked the idea of this android hostage negotiator almost. Was really cool. So yeah, I mean, again, it's entirely up to David Cage to fuck it up at this point.
One element I'll just add is what was interesting was the hostage taker, the one who was on the roof.
Yeah.
He trusted the cop android, and it was quite interesting that he felt betrayed by the cop android. So I'm hoping that there will be some sort of expansion with that. You know, that in the story about the androids feeling some sort of brotherhood with each other against this slavery from humans. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely. Herbie, what did you think?
Yeah, it was a really good showing. Definitely get points for not bringing David Cage out on stage.
Yes.
And that can be a lot to take. I was surprised by the tone of it. After seeing the Detroit trailer at, was it Paris Games Week last year?
I think it was, yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Where they had the girl. After seeing that, this isn't necessarily what I was expecting. But I think it's a nice surprise. It looks very much... going back to their previous games, I've only played Heavy Rain. And this gave me quite strong vibes of the detective stuff in that. I can't remember the name of the FBI investigator. But
neither can I.
His missions in Heavy Rain, I thought were really, really great. So, a whole game of that stuff, yeah, I'm well down.
Will the android have to, satiate a drug habit though?
Or chop his finger off with a rusty knife.
Yes, who knows? Pedz, what about you?
I came away from that feeling literally nothing about it. I was like, it looks okay, I suppose, but I've never played Fahrenheit. I played a little bit of Heavy Rain, and I've never played Beyond Two Souls. So maybe had I played more of them games, I'd be more intrigued by this. But I didn't feel like, oh, this is crap, this looks rubbish, or it looks good. I just felt, it's a game. It's the best way I can describe my feelings on it. I just thought, it's a game, That's unfortunate, really. Or, you know, you want to have some kind of reaction to something being shown, whereas with that, I didn't have any reaction at all.
Yeah, so I suppose. I mean, if you've not played the others, it maybe would be less appealing to you. But like I said, I'm quite looking forward to it simply because I loved Heavy Rain, and I think if there's one thing Quantic Dream do well, it's they do storytelling really well for the most part. And you know, it's interesting to see where they go, and I'm glad that, for better or worse, you know, if it works, you know, who knows, but when it works, it's really good, and I'm glad they're out there trying these things and doing them, because there's nobody else is doing games like this, so I'm so glad that there's somebody attempting it at least, and I'm definitely very interested to see where they go with this. The only other thing I would ask is there going to be a really awkward sex scene in this one? Hopefully, yes. Anyway, moving on, because we've still got a lot to get through, and we're about halfway through our time. They moved on to their PlayStation VR experience with what turns out to be Resident Evil 7. I watched that section, and just my notes, my first 3 kind of bullet points on it were shitting at just watching. Why would anyone play this? And nope. I don't do horror games at all, and you know, to see that, I'm just looking at going, I will never play this. But you know, I'm glad it's there because I know some people really do like this, and the fact that they're making the whole thing playable in VR is going to be absolutely terrifying, and I'm really chuffed for people who are going to be able to do that, but definitely not for me. And the PS Plus demo's out now, I believe.
It is, yeah. I've downloaded it. I was going to play it to give some impressions on it, but by the time I'd finished because I didn't stay up to watch the Sony Conference because I'm too lazy. I watched it this morning, and I had half an hour before we started recording for the Ubisoft conference.
Yeah.
Post-Mortem, and I had to download it and stuff like that. So I was really disappointed I didn't get to play it beforehand, because I was like, yeah, you know, I could give my opinion on whether I thought the demo was good or bad, but hopefully we can get to try. Well, I'll get to try that out soon, and you guys will try it as well. Especially you, Cheeky, because I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Nope, not doing it. Venom, what did you think of it, man?
Yeah, I mean, like you, I have a bit of trepidation when playing horror games. I played a little bit of Outlast, and there was one little moment where there's a guy in a wheelchair, and as you're going past, he suddenly pops up, and it gave me a terrible heart attack. And I know I'm a bit of a wimp in this way, but I'm personally quite apprehensive about playing a horror game in VR, because I think it can genuinely scare you. I mean, that's going to be a good thing for a lot of people. But in terms of what Sony was saying, they were saying that Capcom, Resident Evil 7 is going to be a full game in VR. And that's quite a big thing, because my main worry about VR is that, to begin with, we're just going to have these bite-sized mini games. And so for them to offer a full game or the full game experience, that's quite a big thing, and a sign that we could have full games coming out in VR in the future.
I think there's been a bit of a trend with that actually this year. There's been a few games that have got. There's going to be, you know, full games in VR. You know, I think obviously Doom and Fallout 4, they're bringing VR to that. You know, Resident Evil 7, you're going to have the full game, and I'm sure there was a couple others as well that looked like full game experiences in VR. And I'm thinking, yes, this is what we want to see. The bite-sized, smaller games are great, but you want to know, are we going to be able to play these full games in this? And, you know, here we go. Yes, we will. And we'll kind of see how we get on with that now. Herbie, what about you? Are you scared for Resident Evil 7?
Well, I have played it. I downloaded the demo and I played it before we started recording this. It's a shame we haven't got much time, really, because we could talk at length about VR and what's going to happen with it, and how it's going to launch. Is the price right? Like the games they showed here, is that? But regarding Justice Resident Evil 7, game. I thought it was a good announcement to have in their conference.
Yeah.
It was definitely, like, if you want to use E3 terminology, it was a bit of a megaton to drop. I know certain people kind of lost their shit when they realised, because this was actually at E3 last year, this Kitchen VR game. I think it was called Before Kitchen, and people got shown it behind doors, so people knew about it. But yeah, it seems like the fact that it's Resident Evil 7 is a good surprise out there at the conference. Regarding how good it is, it's hard to say. The demo is very, very short. Essentially, you're dropped in the house you see in the trailer they showed at the conference, and you're told you've got to get out of the house. I kind of won't go into exactly what you do, because I'm aware people listening to this, people on this and listening to it, are probably going to want to play it. But there's just some like gentle puzzle aspects and a bit of a story teaser at the end. It's good. It obviously borrows an awful lot from PT. It's like Sony saying to Konami, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to do it, or Capcom rather. And it's a good add-on for them to pick up, because people are
crying out for it. Yeah,
there's no doubt that people want it. When you compare it to PT, though, I don't think it comes off that favourably. It is very much PT light in terms of atmosphere and the cleverness of its design. Like when you play PT, you think, okay, this has got Kojima, Del Toro, an experienced Konami studio, or experienced Kojima Productions behind it, Norman Reedus. Like, you can tell that the pedigree that has behind it, because just playing it feels different, and it feels absolutely terrifying.
With the PT, I'm just surprised at the atmosphere. They've managed to get out of basically a corridor with like a little room on the side. It's just what they did with that was fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't get through PT without watching it on YouTube first. I put up a couple of friends in front of it as well, and yeah, people like that game is terrifying. This isn't. It's scary, and when you put a VR headset, I'm going to set it in the thread. Like, people are going to die playing these games, because like
there will be heart attacks.
Yeah. If you're of a nervous disposition, you'll have that full immersive experience, like looking around with your head, and they chuck as many jump scares in as you know they're going to. Like, it's going to be horrifying. The fact that, it didn't have the atmosphere of PT, in my opinion. Maybe some people are different, but it showed some interesting. I'm glad they're mixing up Resident Evil, essentially. Because if they'd just come out and done Resident Evil 7 as another Resident Evil 4.5, I think people would have been pissed off. So it's good that they're mixing up. You could just talk for ages about, like, how are they going to... is it really going to be a full VR game? Like, how are they going to match that off against it being people not having to pay for VR with it as well? Because you would think that you would have to, because VR is such a unique thing, you would have to tailor an experience specifically for that.
Yeah.
But obviously they can't do that for a Resident Evil game. Like, how are they going to sort out movement? I mean, people have mentioned when you put on a VR headset, using dual analog sticks to move and aim doesn't work. You get very nauseous if you try and do that, which is why VR shooters have tended to be like on rails or like sat in the same place. So how is that going to work? I mean, somebody suggested you might be in a wheelchair and just guided it and steer that along, which would help the ease of movement, which might be something that works. I mean, there's
Yeah, I mean,
an awful lot to talk about.
yeah, there's a lot of questions regarding how it's going to work, but I think certainly it looks really good, and I think if you're into your horror games, and especially if you're going to have PSVR, it's going to be a must-have. And I think it's going to be one of the killer apps for PSVR. It has to be.
Yeah, possibly worth noting as well that it's graphically, it didn't look on par with PT or either or any of the other games they showed at the conference, but it looked good enough that you think,
Yeah.
is this going to be able to run properly on VR? You don't have a Neo, because I know there's some issues about having to display the same image. I don't know how VR works, but there's usually VR games we've seen so far have a bit of a graphical downgrade. While this does have a slight one, it's not enough that you would think
it looks bad.
We're going to get away with it completely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting, definitely, to see what they do with that. And I think they said the release date for that is going to be January 24th, so that's the day before my birthday. So that is a birthday present I do not want. Moving on, because like I said, we've still got a lot to go through. There was some more VR stuff shown, obviously. PSVR's out in America, October 13th, $399. Going to be 50 games from launch to the end of the year. They showed off Farpoint, which looks like a space first-person shooter type thing. They said that's a full VR game as well, so that could be quite interesting. They showed, and then the two most interesting things for me outside of Resident Evil was VR X-Wings. Which they'd shown. There was a very brief glimpse at in the EA conference when they were talking about Battlefront, and I was just like, hell yes. And that's going to be a mission for Battlefront, so I'm really excited for that. And then Batman Arkham VR, so October 16th only on PSVR, but we don't know anything about it. We don't know what it is.
I know, that's the disappointing thing. When it popped up as Batman VR, I was like, is it going to be one of the already made Batman games with VR added to it somehow, or is it going to be a completely new thing built from the ground up by Rocksteady to...
I think it's a new experience.
Yeah, but it's just like, what are they going to do with that? I'm very interested in it. I would love to have had a bit more information on that and going, Batman, Star Wars, Farpoint, and then that's it. No information at all. That was disappointing that they didn't give any information. Just a little bit, little tiny bit of information would have gone a long way there.
I think they appreciate that you can't show VR
at
a conference. You need to try it. So I think this is why this quick VR run through worked so well in the conference. And I think, I said a similar thing in the Ubisoft conference, or I mentioned to about in the Ubisoft conference that their VR show-ins didn't look like VR show-ins for a kit that's less than 6 months out. Sony's looked like, okay, now let's get fucking going. Pre-order this now. We've got Resident Evil, we've got Star Wars, we've got Batman, we've got this other sci-fi thing. And yeah, after seeing those four things, I was like, I'm on board. I think I always said that the thing that would make me get the VR was like a combo pack with a Neo. Like, chuck it in with that, make it 600 quid or something, then I'm down with that. It looks like VR's going to come out well before the Neo. But I saw enough from Sony that I think I'm going to put down a pre-order.
Excellent.
Unfortunately, no Drive Club though.
Yeah,
that kind of sucked. I was kind of expecting that.
Yeah, I think we could do a whole chat on the Drive Club situation. I think, but yeah, it would have been nice to have seen that. Well, assuming it's still coming.
My pants driving in Drive Club in VR. I can't drive for shit in there. I crash 90% of the time.
First person view, middle of the night, snowstorm, mountain pass.
Oh yeah, in those buggies.
In the buggies, yeah, fucking hell.
Terrible. Man. Yeah.
Venom, what did you think about VR X-Wings and Batman?
Yeah, well, it was interesting to see Farpoint. I was happy to see that because that looked like a full game. And sorry if there's a little bit of noise.
No, it's fine, carry on.
And it looked like a full game. You're set on this alien planet. And since watching the conference, I've seen that there will be a extra sort of gun which you will use with the Move controller to enable one-to-one aiming, so that where you point your gun, it will point in-game. And it's very similar to the way the HTC Vive controller works. So that, I don't know if that's going to be a bit of a big ask for people to buy a PS4 and the VR controller and then this added gun element. I mean, I think I will be buying it. But so that was good to see. A full game. Hopefully there will be more. I don't know why they never showed another game, Golem. I don't know if you've heard of that VR game.
Sounds familiar.
It's by the studio that the composer from Halo, is it Martin O'Donnell?
Martin McDonald.
McDonald, okay. He co-created. But yeah, I was quite actually disappointed in a way with the Star Wars and the Batman reveals, because it suggests that they are much smaller, half-baked ideas. Yeah. As in, it's going to be good to experience. I know the Star Wars one is going to be free for Star Wars Battlefront owners, but
is it coming to this Battlefront or the next Battlefront? Because they said there's a Battlefront coming next year as well.
Presumably this year.
All right, that's cool. I was just curious because they didn't say, did they? And as there was an announcement saying there's another Battlefront coming next year, would they have kept the VR stuff back specifically for a new game to then have a unique selling point of the next Battlefront?
I had a look at the PlayStation blog, and it does say that it will be free to current Star Wars Battlefront owners. Yeah. Although the Batman game, I believe, is going to be a separate purchase.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they sell these things, especially Batman, because I can't imagine it's going to be a big thing. So again, that means you're kind of looking at an appropriate price point for that. £5 to £10, depending on how in depth it is, I would expect.
They didn't show that Robinson the Journey game from last year either.
No, they didn't.
When they showed that seemed like something they were going to lean on for VR, but no mention of it.
Yeah, I mean, or GT Sport. Yeah, I think they showed that briefly in a montage, but that was about it. Which, is fair enough. I think they did say obviously they've got 50 games at launch, between launch and the end of the year, so whether that'll be into the financial year or the actual year, I don't know. But yeah, certainly a lot looking good for PSVR, I think. A lot of interest, a lot of good stuff coming. And then obviously they also showed their, Final Fantasy 15 is going to have a VR mode. I don't know about you guys, but I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Look,
I don't care. I didn't speak yesterday about Final Fantasy 15 because I wasn't there for the Post-Mortem, but VR is not going to, for me, save that game. It looks boring as shit. The combat and it looks absolutely. Oh, well, people buying into that game are just buying into a name, man, and nothing else. Oh, it's Final Fantasy. I'm going to buy that. It's like, it looks crap. It looks visually quite nice. Graphically, it looks pretty decent. But the gameplay of it looks crap. So having that in VR.
I think the Final Fantasy VR thing was separate.
It looks like a section. Yeah, it looks like a mode within it. Yeah, it looks like a separate mode. So it'll be interesting to see it, but nah. I mean, I've already kind of spoken about Final Fantasy 15 and the Microsoft one. And I mean, the only thing
it was a bad gameplay show.
Yeah, the only further point I've got to Final Fantasy 15 is that is Final Fantasy even relevant anymore? Does ND even care anymore?
If it makes the sales, it will be relevant.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think it will, but not because it's a game worth playing anymore. I think it will do it just simply because they've slapped Final Fantasy on it, and people will buy it simply because of that.
Yeah, buy into the name, not the game. Which was,
I think my perspective of Final Fantasy is kind of twist. I mean, whether you think it's relevant or not depends on where on the internet you happen to
hang out. Yeah.
Watching a lot of the Easy Ally stuff, like they talk about it non-stop, like it's a second coming. Personally, I am more on your guys' side, as in, whatever. It could be good. It could be a steaming pile. But I'm definitely not ready to write it off. But
Yeah, we'll see.
see.
I'll let,
It
but
looks like there's no substance to the game. That's what it looks like to me. And that's all I'm going to say now because this is a Sony chat, not a Microsoft one. So I'm going to
yeah,
leave it there.
but yeah, no, but certainly I have no interest in Final Fantasy 15 at this point. So yeah, hopefully it'll prove me wrong, but we'll see. Anyway, moving on from VR, we went back to more mainstream games, and Call of Duty: Infinite Warfare. Obviously the second year that it's been at Sony's conference. I thought it looked decent enough. It's been a while since I've been interested in Call of Duty, and it actually looked fairly decent, I thought.
I have to agree with you, man. I'm going to agree with you. I don't think it looked decent when it started. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, bit of like dogfighting style thing going on in space, and then I was like, damn, this looks really cool. What is it? And then it showed. I was like,
yeah,
that is the first time since Modern Warfare, the first one, that I've been interested in a Call of Duty game. I'm like, I'm actually looking at getting this. It might not be a popular opinion. We're on the forum on GRcade, because everyone hates Call of Duty on there. But I'm actually thinking this looks good. This is something I wouldn't mind playing.
I think certainly the kind of move into the future's kind of helped that, and I think it's kind of weird to see because a lot of the kind of mainstream Call of Duty fans have hated the fact that it's moved into the future, whereas we're now kind of like, yeah, actually this looks pretty good now. Let's give us into it. It's a strange flip almost, from my point of view. So yeah, I was the same watching it. I was like, oh, what's this? It looks quite interesting. At first I thought, is this Eve Valkyrie or whatever it is, and then they started doing the first person, but I was like, no, it's not Eve. And then I noticed like the HUD markers and stuff, and I was like, fucking hell, this is Call of Duty. And then sure enough, it ended up being Infinite Warfare, and I was just like, okay, you've got me interested. I might actually pick this up at some point. So yeah, Herbie, what did you think?
Yeah, I can only really echo what you guys have said. You guys have already said. I've never bought a Call of Duty game. Not a proper one anyway. I think I might have got Call of Duty 3 on Wii.
Yeah.
Which I almost threw up playing. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Modern Warfare, and I think that's where it ended for me. I didn't like Modern Warfare 2. But yeah, I thought it was a really good showing. It didn't look like Call of Duty.
Yes,
it's going to be interesting this year. I mean, the closest I've come to ever buying like a PS4 Xbox Call of Duty was last year, because last year's, I can't remember what it's called.
Black Ops 3, was it?
Black Ops 3, okay.
Yeah.
That got a lot of praise for the multiplayer, and I was thinking around that time it might be time for me to finally jump in on a Call of Duty. What put me off is just the kind of Twitch nature of the shooting, which I'm not really on board with. But the space combat in this, it looked really good.
It's what Star Fox should have been.
I mean, they mentioned
I'm joking. I haven't played it.
They mentioned it on the Easy Allies. Carl Bossman mentioned it. He said it shows up Star Fox for the fucking pile of garbage it was. Because like this is what people want. They want to sit in an X-wing and just fucking blast through space. Like, even if it's on rails, and that thing where he was floating around and like zipping into the like grapple hooking onto the outside of the spaceship and smashing the windows and blasting everything out. It looked really good. I can see myself. It's going to be interesting this year. I mean, when you always have that, or you have had for the last 4 or 5 years, the face-off between the kind of Battlefield and the different Call of Duties and stuff. And like this year's going to be a bit different because Call of Duty's gone like super futuristic space combat. Battlefield's gone back in time. So yeah, I thought it was a really good showing.
And next year Call of Duty will go back in time, and Battlefield will go back to 2142 or whatever it was, the future Battlefield.
Probably.
So yeah, Venom, Call of Duty. What did you think?
Yeah, Activision, they've got this mega franchise, and every year they have to reimagine it some way. So hearing that they were going into the future just seemed a bit like they were jumping the shark and they were just reaching for ideas. So when they were showing the trailer, because I think it began in that first person perspective in the cockpit, I, like you, thought it was Valkyrie. And I did wonder, and I was hoping actually that it was a PSVR game. But I was really hoping it would be, but I couldn't quite work out what it was. And then you saw the guy get out on foot, and I believe it was the spacecraft, the inside of it. So it looked like a whole alternative, not quite a Halo alternative, but it looked like a space franchise, a new, different space franchise. And it looked appealing, it looked fun, it looked, really good. And so when at the end it said Call of Duty, I genuinely was surprised. I thought it was something else. So I think that was quite a clever trick to do, because maybe, I mean, we've all expressed a little bit of prejudice against Call of Duty, or perhaps a prefixed idea of what it is. It was good to leave it to the end, because we just saw it for what it was, and it seemed interesting. So yeah, I definitely will consider this one as a buy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Modern Warfare looked good as well, didn't it?
Yeah, the remastered.
I did. I won't be getting that because I'm of the opinion of not buying remakes of games I've already played. But
I understand.
That's just me. If I've never played Modern Warfare, then I'd likely grab it. But I don't do remakes because I find it's a waste of money. I could just play the game on the original console.
Yeah.
Because I don't sell my games. I keep them. I've got my games from my NES still here. I don't do selling of games.
No, so, good stuff, man. But yeah, Modern Warfare I think looked good. Now, it kind of sticking with the Call of Duty theme, I'm going to use a Call of Duty trope and say, in the interests of time, we need to move on to a very brief announcement that they made for Crash Bandicoot Remastered, which just seemed quite interesting. When they first came out, I thought, oh my god, they're making a new Crash Bandicoot game, but it was no, they're remastering 1, 2, and Warped. Any interest in that?
I think this was the one misstep at the conference. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Herbie. I mean, personally, I've never been a big fan of Crash Bandicoot. I never knew it had this mass appeal. I know there's some people on the internet who seem to love it, but they're doing a remaster. That's going to be nice for the fans. I believe it's also going to be coming to other platforms, because they said first on PS4 or something like that. Yeah, it's nice. I'm not overly enamored with it myself, but it's good for the people who want it.
Well, that's the kind of thing. Like, I don't think it does have that cult following. Like, the whole "we want a new Crash Bandicoot" thing seems to have been entirely generated by Sony themselves, like dropping hints about it for the last 2 years. I've never heard or seen or come across like anybody on the internet that's clamoring for a new Crash Bandicoot game.
Some people on
Sorry, Venom, was that some people on NeoGAF?
That's right. Well, people guessing it's a vocal mic.
Yeah, I mean, I think like if they were going to announce anything, they should have announced a new game, which is why I say it was a misstep. Because when people, because anybody who was excited about it, you're like, great, Crash Bandicoot's back. Oh, just a remaster. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's good, I suppose. And then the Skylanders
maybe
stuff.
doing a remaster is cheaper and easier to remaster a game than it is to make a new one, and they testing the waters to see how popular Crash Bandicoot really is to then go on to make new games. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. It benefits them, because if they don't spend a lot on remastering it and they make a profit from it, then they know they can then make a follow-up game. And if it's benefiting that way. If not, and it doesn't sell that much, they're not losing that much, and they don't need to make another game and lose even more money. So it's a good way of doing it. It's just, is it really going to be a good indication of how popular he is when it's a remaster? Because a lot of people won't buy remasters because they're remasters.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. And I think, yeah, I do believe it was like the only misstep, and that it kind of, I would have liked to have seen them do a new one, and I think a lot of people would have. And when it came out, you're like, oh my god, and it's remasters. Oh, okay, but to be fair, they didn't spend any time on it. They just mentioned it and then left. So that was, that was fair enough. Okay, moving on, we then got a CGI trailer for Lego Force Awakens, which just based on the and Skylanders with
Crash,
with Crash,
which I'll probably get that because my kids like Skylanders. That's the only reason.
I bet it's you who really likes Skylanders.
Pedz likes Skylanders.
No. The only game I got was I thought I'd actually play because I looked interesting. Was Disney Infinity 2. The DC, the Marvel stuff, and I just never bothered with it. And the same with Lego Dimensions, like, yeah, this is really cool. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna play it, and then never did. I know Herbie's a big fan of Lego Dimensions because he regularly streams it.
Yeah. So Herbie, any interest in Skylanders from you, or are you very much Lego only?
No, not Skylands. To be honest, it's good that I guess we're coming on to Lego Force Awakens. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it. I mean, we get TT's, pattern with these games now. They've got it good down. I'm sure it'll be good, but there's not really a huge amount to talk about it. While they were playing that, I was really, really hoping they were going to announce Star Wars characters for Dimensions, because that would have been a great thing to it.
It would have been a nice addition.
Maybe that's a way off yet, but Force Awakens will be good.
But and there's a demo out now for it as well, so if you want, we can go and give that a shot. But yeah, I thought the trailer looked good. It's typical Traveller's Tales style humour. I liked the way they kind of did that, and looks good. I'm sure that'll be yet another excellent Lego game. Okay, so then moving on to probably, I don't want to say the biggest announcement, but certainly got the biggest reaction. Kojima, turning up, like a fucking boss.
A rock star.
Like a rock star.
Everyone going, Kojima! I was like, wow, that is a rock star fucking entrance, like.
He's the closest thing we have.
Lots of glee on people's faces.
Yeah. And then obviously showed off his new game, Death Stranding. Was it Death Stranding? Yeah. Stranding.
When it first came out, I thought Death Stranding. That sounds weird. I was like, no, wait, Death Stranding. Death Stranding.
Which looks, so that looks mental as hell.
Exactly.
Total Kojima, and starred a buck naked Norman Reedus and a baby. So yes, please. That seems interesting.
Norman
you ain't gonna play it, man. It's anything like PT, which he was doing first, you were never going to play it.
I was never going to play Silent Hills, no. But we don't know what this is yet. It looks mental as hell.
Well, it hasn't got Del Toro working with him, have they? So
no, Del Toro doesn't seem to be involved.
Trio,
but it's still definitely very interesting to see what that game is, what it involves.
Yeah, I think it was interested in sort of setting the mood. You see this guy wake up on a beach and he's got some sort of digital umbilical cord and a baby. And these dead whales on the beach and these four figures in the sky. I mean, there's no way to know what the game is about or what sort of game it is. But I think it's a way of just announcing to the gaming community, Kojima has started his game.
Yeah, he's working on it. It's coming. And
And we'll see it on the PlayStation 5.
Yes, probably. One thing I did like was when it was kind of panning up the beach and you saw like the character for the first time from behind. I'm thinking, is this meant to be like Naked Snake or something? It looked like, with the hair. I was like, what the hell is he doing? Is he genuinely taking the piss here? And then obviously it turned out it was like Norman Reedus, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I knew that was Norman Reedus straight away.
Yeah.
He's seen his ass so many times of her.
Where's the hair? It's like, the arse hair. No, it was I mean, it's a good bomb to drop it if they get Kojima out with that ridiculously over-the-top staging. And
I think they've really won up Microsoft with getting Kojima on board.
I mean, I think there's not really anything Microsoft can do about that, really. I mean, I don't think it was... I mean, he was always going to go with... I mean, we don't know if this is going to be a Sony exclusive or first on PS4 or whatever, but...
I think it's...
Yeah, I think they said it was exclusive.
Yeah, I think he was always going to part with Sony. There was nothing... I mean, yeah, it's it kind of sucks if you're like one of the Xbox loyal, but I mean, it's hard to stick the boot in at Microsoft saying they should have got in, but because I think
they never really had a chance.
Yeah, it was never going to happen. As soon as Sony opened the door to him, and I mean, they're obviously so clearly made up that they've got him. Like that Andrew House presentation, little video they dropped, was it earlier in this year, saying that they were working with him, and this massive showing they gave him at E3, even though, I mean, you could talk about it endlessly, but there's nothing you can take from it. They clearly haven't. They've not had enough time to settle on what the game is. It looked intriguing. I liked the way it pulled back, and you saw the beach and all the dead animals. That was it looked visually cool, and I think that's pretty much all you can say about it at the moment.
Yeah, certainly something to look forward to next year to see. What we're going to get.
To see a bit more of it, yeah.
See something. I don't for a second think we'll get it next year, but we're probably talking 2018 at the earliest.
2018 late. At best, I think.
So, but yeah, going to be.
What was interesting was, I don't know if you saw the credits, and it had Mark Cerny as the technical producer. So, Mark Cerny, father of the PS4, and he went with Kojima on that world tour, going around to all the Sony studios. So it's interesting they've got him there, and I don't know if Kojima's trying to be push things technically, but it's something that's a big win to have Mark Cerny on his team.
Yeah, he talked about that with Jeff Keighley before on the YouTube thing in the afternoon.
Okay.
Throughout that whole thing, I couldn't help but laugh how badly Kojima trolled Keighley. After all the gushing praise Keighley gives him, he gets him on his YouTube show. It's like a big coup before E3, and Kojima's just like, no, we're still sorting out the engine. We've not done anything. And then he walks up to the Sony conference and it's like, boom. Drops this ridiculous trailer.
God love that crazy bastard.
So that was kind of funny.
Exactly.
But yeah, so really, really kind of interested to see what he comes up with. And then on to our second last thing of the night, we had the Insomniac Spidey game, which I think kind of came out of nowhere. I think there was some rumours that it was going to be Sucker Punch that we're going to be doing, and then we're getting Insomniac to do it. So yeah, definitely interested in that. I mean, I'm a massive Spider-Man fan, so and it's been years since we've had a good Spider-Man game. So yeah, and I think the only other kind of takeaway I've got from it is, it's an interesting look for the suit. I need to watch that trailer again, actually.
The
Pedz.
suit isn't great. I don't mind the suit in general. It's just the white spider now. I think it should be black, and that's my opinion on the suit.
I
Is
don't
that
mind
what
it.
they used in the new film?
No,
I'm not sure.
it's
not the suit from Civil War, no. But it could well be the suit from Homecoming, because Tony Stark is designing him a new suit for in the canon. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm interested in Spider. I like the suit in general. It's just the white of the spider.
Yeah.
I think it should be black.
It
That's
pops.
the only. Black would be better. I think it'd look nicer.
I don't know. I like it. I think it looks a bit different, and it's a Spider-Man suit I've never seen before. So that's always kind of interesting. But it looks different, but it's not drastically different. It's literally just we're going to have a big white spider over the red and blue instead. So yeah, no, I really liked it. It was hard to tell from the trailer how much of it was CGI and how much of it was in game, if any.
But that's the big question.
If it looks like and it moves like that, it's going to be stunning. And Insomniac, I trust to do a good
I've seen the
game.
GIF.
Yeah, that GIF is incredible.
Yeah,
jumping on the table, does the flip.
Jumping on the tables, flip, and then flips
Flings
on
it
the
out the
fucking
window.
window and flings out the window. Like it's just like, oh, if I can do that in game as Spider-Man, I'm gonna get an erection.
I mean, that's. I mean, you said it right there, Cheeky. I mean, what were we watching in that trailer? Because there were so many bits where they had the movement of Spider-Man, like in Civil War. It was just they had it down so well.
Perfect.
So if that was in game, then it's incredible, absolutely incredible. But or if that's just what they're going for, lots to be positive about in that trailer. And Insomniac as well.
Insomniac did do Sunset Overdrive, didn't they?
Yes,
That's right.
So they got traversal down to a T, because Sunset Overdrive is probably my favorite game on the Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, Insomniac are, they're a great developer. They've done great games, and I'm very happy that they're doing this. I think they'll be able to do it real justice, and hopefully get a good story, and hopefully get some interesting villains in it as well. I think somebody mentioned Mr. Negative might be in it, and I'm like, ooh, we've never had him in a game, so that'll be cool. But yeah, anybody else want to say about Spider-Man? Nope. Cool. Which brings us back to Days Gone, which we kind of very briefly mentioned earlier on before saying we were going to come back to it. Now, Herbie, if I'm right, I think you were like me in that you were convinced this was going to turn out to be The Last of Us 2.
It looked so much like it. Because I think we're all assuming Last of Us 2 isn't going to feature Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
Like, the way he talked, the motorbike,
the way it looked.
They referenced motorbikes in The Last of Us, the going through the environments, pushing the medical equipment out of the way. It just had that vibe.
Yeah.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I was like, this is the end of the conference. I've seen so much stuff here. I'm going to lose my shit if this is Last of Us 2. But, I mean, we're thinking about it recently. It looks way too far along to be The Last of Us 2. But
yeah,
it looks really good.
Yeah.
The only thing you do wonder about is post-apocalypse fatigue, zombie fatigue. I don't know. The way they were talking, somebody mentioned that it was kind of a Walking Dead, Sons of Anarchy cross. Which sounds like a great setup for a game to me.
I'd watch it.
Yeah. The only thing that I was like, it looks really good. It was a good new game, new IP to end the conference on. The only slight reservation I had was that board as it was coming through. It looked kind of janky and weird. But I think you could probably explain that away by it probably being early on in development, but obviously you can't in these gameplay demos, you can't have the character die and reset,
exactly.
so that you have to account for all that stuff as well. But yeah, the idea of motorbiking across America, in an abandoned world, and
absolutely. I think it looked really good, and like I said, like you, I was convinced it was going to be The Last of Us 2 right up until the end. Even when you seen the zombies, I was like, oh, maybe they're just earlier on in the infection, and they've not all grown the weird things. But yeah, obviously then it turned out it wasn't. But yeah, it looks like a more action-oriented version of The Last of Us, which I think's fine. Whether or not there's a need for another game like that, when we've got The Last of Us remastered, and we will obviously they have to have Last of Us 2 coming at some point. Whether there's a game that looks so similar, I don't know. But yeah, certainly it's one I'm going to keep an eye on, and I think it's if they can keep the story going as well as they can the rest of it, I'll be quite happy with that.
Herbie, when you mentioned Last of Us 2 just now, you said people are expecting it to not be Joel and Ellie. It's not that I'm not expecting it to be someone else. I'm hoping it will be someone else because I think the story ended perfectly.
Yeah.
And where it ended, and hopefully they will just leave them. The only way I would like to see Joel again is if it showed him in his past where he's when he's talking to Ellie, he's like, I had the stuff I've had to do kind of thing. And it's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that, But this game I thought looked really good until the Horde. I was like, I don't know. It's like one or two zombies, but massive hordes of them. But it's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on. I just hopefully it won't be too much. It's more zombies, like you said yourself, zombie fatigue, apocalyptic themes. Fatigue. It's just is it getting too much now?
Yeah.
Has anybody played anything by the studio, Sony Bend?
I don't think I've even heard of them until today.
It's the Siphon Filter, and the only things I've done recently are the Uncharted games on PSP and Vita.
Oh, right.
I like the Uncharted game on the Vita. I like Golden Abyss. I know it's not very well regarded, but I actually enjoyed it. The gimmicks were a bit annoying, like the swipe the screen kind of thing, but the general gameplay I thought was
Yeah.
fine.
Cool. And Venom, what did you think of Days Gone?
Yeah, well, like you guys, when it first started, and it did seem there was a bit of overlap with The Last of Us, because it's got that sort of brown outdoor color palette, that Middle America setting, and the music that they were playing, which I believe might have been by the orchestra were playing, it did have the same sort of sound as the Last of Us. So then afterwards, near the end, at the close of the show, was it a gameplay playthrough? It was a live playthrough, I believe.
I think so. Because they had didn't they have on the side like a guy actually playing it with like a couple of monitors there?
Yeah.
Sitting down on so it was showing the some bald guy playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did the same with God of War at the start.
Yeah.
They had like 4 cameras. Well, with God of War, it was like 3 on the guy and 1 on the orchestra, which with Days Gone, it was 4 on the guy.
Yeah, and so when we saw that at the end, we got to see a bit more of the world and the zombies. And I was actually thinking, maybe it's a partnership with
with Naughty Dog, yeah.
With Naughty Dog, yeah, as in they've been charged with making The Last of Us 2. Because it could so easily have been a Last of Us game in terms of the setting and the tone.
Yeah.
But anyway, when we saw the guy and he was being chased by the hordes, I know some of you mentioned the janky graphics, but if it really was a live playthrough, there was a massive amount of zombies and they were all moving at the same time. And if you go back and watch it, you will see how many are moving. So I don't know if that would actually happen in the real game, but if it can be done, that's a genuine next generation difference, because I was so impressed by that. Just by the fact that there were so many and they were all being animated on the screen at the same time. Yeah, it looked amazing. I just wonder, how people would feel about it, but, being so similar to The Last of Us. But yeah, I'm definitely up for it.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
It wasn't the graphics, I